Hey guys, welcome back to another flashlight review, and today we're going to be looking at the Astrolux WP5. And this is one of those flood plus throw flashlights out there. There's a few different companies that do them, and this one throws a beam over 1.3 kilometers. It's got an LEP module in there. It's also got some decent usable spill, so 7 white LEDs. Also comes with some warning red and blue LEDs. And it's a similar concept to the Nitecore P35i, that same aspheric lens in the center and LEDs surrounding that lens, except it's a lot cheaper. Same with the Lumitop W2, that kind of idea there. And basically, like I said, it's got this LEP technology in there, a CT1 module, so it has a laser-like beam, produces visible white light, but extreme throw, so I actually measured over 1,300 meters on switch on. And those 7 white LEDs are surprisingly got enough range for medium range tasks as well. It does have that red and blue signaling. So yeah, I think this is great for some of you who are looking for a searchlight / utility light, and yeah, even a tactical style flashlight all in one. So let's have a look at what it does. So that tail switch there, if you half press, basically it's like a momentary mode, so it swaps between the aux mode, auxiliary mode, that's the lowest aux mode by the way, and then the laser excited phosphor beam. So when you switch it on after a bit, it always goes into the last auxiliary mode that you've used, so you can just ramp that up. So that's the turbo mode. There's 4 modes in there, and you can also press and hold to turn on the LEP light as well, plus the flood. Double press like that, and you get that flashy red and blue light mode. And that's pretty much it. So everything that you see here on the table is basically what's included besides this battery here. This is an 18350 battery that I've been using with the light. And Astrolux include this 21700 cell. It's got a built-in protection circuit, which is excellent. And you can see here USB-C charging port. So it's rated at 5,000 milliamp hours. And you do get some other little accessories like this lanyard, a couple of spare O-rings. You also get an 18350 short tube. So this is really useful if you just want to reduce the overall size of the light. So yeah, basically just screw the tube in like that, and we'll take off this one from the other side of the tube, the 18650. And interestingly, like if you look closely at the tubes as well, they have dual O-rings, which is kind of rare on most flashlights. They only use that sort of system on dive lights. Now this is an unprotected 18350, so it rattles around a little bit, but still manages to make contact. So yeah, I would recommend using this one with a protected 18350. This little cigar grip also came with the WP5. It attaches around the tail here. I took it off. I didn't quite like it. It's made of plastic and it rotates freely, so it sort of gets a bit annoying, but for a practical sort of way to enhance your grip, it's actually good. I just don't like the look and the feel of it. So here's a comparison of the Astrolux WP5 next to my Lumitop W2. I've got the Convoy M21B and the Convoy S8 there, and you can see with the Lumitop W2, the bezel size is pretty similar. The overall design is slightly similar, except the W2 is using cob LEDs in there, but yeah, the general idea is similar. You've got that central aspheric lens with LEDs surrounding it, and you do need to have a larger bezel for that in order to accommodate a decent sized aspheric lens for the LEP, otherwise it's just not going to project that far. If you've got something like the M21B, which is probably on the larger end of flashlights that I would carry around, you can see the head is just significantly larger than the M21B. It's not it's not completely unwieldy, but definitely in your pocket you're going to feel the difference. And of course next to the S8. So here's a little close-up of the Astrolux WP5, and it's made of 6061 aluminium, hard anodized for extra durability. And when I got this one in the mail, I was pretty surprised at the overall construction quality of this thing. The machining is pretty much perfect. There's no rough spots or imperfections, and it does feel a little bit slippery because of this anodizing, but you know, it's good that there is enough knurling on it as well. It does feel also slightly heavy. There's more material up there for heat sinking, and there are some of these heat sinking fins here just below the head, top of the head, for thermal regulation. But overall it feels very solid and rugged in your hand. It's something that I think you could just drop and not have to really worry about. It's also rated IPX6 water resistance, so you're not going to be able to submerge it, but it is splash proof, so you're going to use it in the rain, that kind of thing. 1 meter drop resistant as well. So the light is operated through a couple of switches. You've got a tactical tail switch here on the end, so you half press to swap between those two momentary auxiliary and LEP mode, and it also glows a faint blue. It's difficult here to see on camera. It's just really, really, really faint, so allowing you to locate it in complete darkness. Got this side button here as well, and this allows you to scroll through all the auxiliary modes. There's a blue LED in there that acts as a battery indicator. You also get this friction clip which is attached to the light, and the light does tail stand, but yeah, you really have to make sure it's on a flat surface because there's only a couple of bits of metal there that contact. All right, looking down the bezel, right in the center is the aspheric lens that allows the light to focus the LEP beam into a really long range, tight focused hotspot. And you've got 7 white LEDs surrounding it, and it's kind of this custom TIR lens system in there. And basically kind of floody LEDs. They are XBD LEDs apparently, and are rated up to 1200 plus lumens. You've also got those red and blue LEDs somewhere in there for kind of safety warning features as well. And yeah, they're just fantastic because you've got one beam that's tuned for kind of more long range use and one for short range use or medium range use. You can activate both of them at the same time for the best of both worlds. And yeah, the manual states that the WP5 is using a boosting constant currents plus direct drive driver. So I'm actually not sure which modes are using which driver, but normally it's the turbo or the highest modes that use the direct drive outputs, the FET driver. So a slightly more detailed run through of the UI. So this tail switch, like I said, if you half press, you can cycle between the auxiliary mode and the LEP mode. Okay, now just kind of press all the way to lock in, but normally you just press to activate the auxiliary mode, because once you turn it off for a few seconds, even if you had been using the LEP mode before, it's going to default back to the aux mode. So if you cycle from the auxiliary mode, you've got low, medium, high, and turbo, you can switch off the light and switch it back on, and it memorizes whatever aux mode that you had on before, which is good. Again, when the light is on, if you press and hold, you can access the turbo mode for both the auxiliary and the LEP as well in there, and the double click gives you that red and blue warning light. There is a strobe mode as well, so just triple press. There you go, and it flashes everything, basically the LEP and the white LEDs in there. Okay, so I ran a bunch of ceiling bounce tests with the Astrolux WP5, and this one was interesting. It's the LEP mode only. You can see it starts off pretty high and then drops to maybe 2/3 of its output. And I tried this over and over. I thought this was, just an artifact or something like that, but it wasn't. It always does this at the start. So you do get a burst of power before it steps down, and you can see at that point you get about 10 minutes of runtime before it continues to step down. I ran a second ceiling bounce test with the WP5 with the aux mode on turbo and LEP on, so kind of like a 2-in-1 mode, and you can see it's very similar step down pattern. I ran a third test here with just the auxiliary LEDs on turbo, and you can see kind of similar pattern to the LEP. Yeah, the LEP light, where the lights just all step down pretty much immediately. And here you get about just over 4 minutes of runtime before you experience another step down at 6 minutes. I ran a fourth ceiling bounce test with the auxiliary mode on high, and you can see there was no change in output. Here are a bunch of tests that I ran with my Opal Lightmaster Pro, so you can pause the video, have a look, and yeah, basically I got better results with an 18650 battery, and you can see with the LEP turbo on switch on, got 1334 meters of range. After 30 seconds though, you get about a kilometer of range. So yeah, I would say that's probably a better indication of what you're going to get. So yeah, the 1 kilometer of range when you switch on, as you could tell in the little ceiling bounce test I ran before, you get that spike of performance, but it does drop down significantly. But still, kilometer of throw is pretty decent. And yeah, same thing here. You can see with the LEP plus auxiliary mode, it has starts off at 1,100 meters, but you also still get that quick step down, just like in the LEP mode only. There's also some tests here with an 18350 cell that I used, a Vastlight 18350 cell. So yeah, you can have a look at that as well. But you can see there are slightly lower performance in terms of range. So some considerations if you're thinking of getting the Astrolux WP5. So this thing doesn't have any onboard charging. The battery comes with a USB-C charging port, so that makes it really helpful. But if you're using other types of batteries, yeah, just make sure you've got another charger or at least another flashlight that you're carrying along with you so you can charge it. The second consideration is that the head is fairly large, 44 millimeters diameter, so it's not ideal for your jeans pocket, but the 18350 tube is definitely going to help it to feel a bit smaller. A lot of these 2-in-1 flood-to-throat lights usually have larger heads or just larger overall profiles. In order to accommodate for those separate beam profiles, you need 2 separate systems in there. So yeah, the head also gets pretty hot with prolonged use with all these multiple white LEDs. There's also a few things that I noted with the UI that would be good if they could be changed, but yeah, more my personal preference. It would be good if the tail switch could be programmed to Turbo Auxiliary Plus LEP for kind of like a tactile interface. So yeah, every time you press it, it always just goes to the highest mode of each one. At the moment, it will just basically cycle auxiliary and the LEP modes continuously. I get that you can put it onto the turbo mode for the auxiliary, but you're not going to have that certainty of knowing the LEP, that blindingly long range beam is going to activate. So yeah, I also wish that you could activate the red LEDs separately. It's a shame because they are bright enough to walk around with, but you can only activate them when you're in that flashy red/blue mode. So yeah, maybe they just wanted to keep it simple, but I think like a hold down, press and hold to just to go from the flashy modes to maybe some other modes would have been good. Overall, if you want a hybrid flashlight that covers both long and short range tasks but still fits in your pocket, this could be the one. The Astrolux WP5 gives you premium features. It's got crazy throw, multi-use flexibility for pretty much long range, short range, even medium range tasks as well on turbo. The auxiliary modes, they're pretty powerful, and yeah, for a price that's pretty hard to beat, especially if we're talking about 2-in-1 LEP flashlight. If you're interested in getting the Astrolux WP5, I've left a link down below to the Banggood website. And yeah, if you have questions as well, comments, that type of thing, let me know down below and I'll get back to you. If you enjoyed this video, found it helpful, do me a favor, click the like button and share it with someone who might be interested. It just helps me to get my channel out to more people. And if you want to see more flashlight reviews and keep up to date with the latest flashlight news, make sure you subscribe. Astrolux WP5, and as you can see, I've got this beautiful skyline view, city skyline view here in Melbourne. I'm able to reach all the way to the end of this lake, and there's signs there that you can see the LEP illuminating. And if we've got the flood on, it doesn't really make a difference. You can just see the area that I've got my camera set up on. But it's a nice peaceful night tonight, and sometimes there's some birds kind of flying around, but you can see it reaches all the way to the back there. But it's the issue is, like, I can't actually see really that far. I probably need some binoculars, and yeah, I mean, it's almost like, let's reactivate it again. Like here to the left, these trees to the left, like they're illuminating quite easily. Depends on the particular target. Like right at the back there, see those trees right at the back, it's almost impossible to capture that on camera, but it is tinting those trees very slightly. So in the water, it's incredible. It kind of just like illuminates what's in the water, the little reeds and bits of seaweed and stuff. It's a bit closer here to the right. And that building there, see those reflective signs easily being illuminated. Astrolux WP5, and let's pop this onto the LEP mode only. On this kind of path at the back here, you've got these trees, and it goes into an area where cyclists go down the back, so it's reaching all the way down the back very easily. You can see what's happening in there. Tree line. This is with the auxiliary lights on, 1200 lumens. Turbo auxiliary lights. It does make the LEP beam a little dimmer. I don't want to throw as far, but still is impressive. Reaching the end, no problems. And I'll just cycle through the auxiliary modes, so low, medium, high, and turbo. This is, I mean, just with the auxiliary modes, this is great as a walking light. Maybe the medium mode like that, that's enough. More than enough light. Probably downplayed it by calling them auxiliary lights. I'll go for a bit of a walk and activate the different modes to demonstrate. Astrolux WP5. And you can see all the way out the back there is a sign and a cyclist coming towards us to the left. We're quite easily able to reach those trees all the way into the back. Spot the trunks. It's like having a gigantic lightsaber. Up close it's almost too much, like on this tree here. It's still okay, but reactivate it. It steps down a little bit. Amazing spot beam. Now, if I
press and hold the side switch, I can turn on the auxiliary lights as well. And this is the turbo auxiliary mode. And it's very useful. They call it an auxiliary light, but it's 1200 lumens. I think it's more than sufficient to call it just a general floodlight, a general work floodlight, or floody beam, I suppose. So you can see all the way up ahead into that tree there to the right, tinting that tree. So get a good 20 meters of decent visibility. And you can, of course, just activate the auxiliary lights on their own. So these are the auxiliary lights on their own. So we've got low, medium, high, and turbo. Look at that. Pretty impressive. Now I'm going to go for a little bit of a walk and show you the beam patterns on all these different modes.